Welcome to Local Edition. I'm Brad Pomerance. We're joined today by James Butts Jr. He is the mayor of Inglewood. And so I'd like to take us back to about 5 years ago, 2011. If we were speaking in 2011, what would you be telling me about the city of Inglewood?
In 2011, it would have been a place where the Lakers and the Kings had departed over a decade ago to go to Staples Center. Horse racing, Hollywood Racetrack, we used to draw on the average 38 to 41,000 people 45 days a week. It was down to crowds of 1,000. The city had an $18.6 million structural deficit, meaning we were burning $50,000 a day more in expenses than we were taking in revenues.
You were on the verge of bankruptcy.
Within 7 months, probably, we would have been cash flow bankrupt. We had to do a number of significant things. We had to cut the workforce by 140 positions. We entered into public-private partnerships for parking control, street sweeping, tree trimming, and at the same time, we increased our capacity in doing those things. You would have come to a city in 2011 that was having sinkholes appear probably every once a month or every 6 weeks because the water infrastructure had been neglected. It was over 60 years old. And so what we did was we stabilized our finances, improved services, and started to work on our infrastructure while simultaneously negotiating with Madison Square Garden to assess their interest in renovating and reopening the Forum.
So let's talk about today, because there is no doubt 5 years later, the future is bright for Inglewood on so many levels. And it's not just about the Los Angeles Rams, although God bless them for coming back home. But let's talk about the Forum, because that's really the catalytic event that got Inglewood moving.
You're absolutely accurate. You know, I've had the opportunity to work for 3 different cities. Inglewood, was a police officer there for 19 years, left as a deputy police chief, went to Santa Monica as the police chief in 1991, youngest police chief in the state of California, was there for 15 years, and then spent 5 years in charge of counterterrorism and public safety for the Los Angeles World Airport system before running for office in Inglewood. And so one thing I learned in all 3 of those cities is that entertainment's a big key because it draws people in cars. People in cars bring debit cards, credit cards, and cash, and they spend it where they are. So cities that depend on their indigenous sales tax and property taxes, they get by in the best of times. They struggle with every recession, and you've seen it happen in Detroit, Stockton, Vallejo, San Bernardino. Chicago's having a problem with unfunded liabilities. We dealt with our unfunded liabilities, and then we were able to enter into meaningful discussions with MSG.
Tell us about MSG, Madison Square Garden Forum, not the Chinese seasoning, and tell us about what's happening with the Forum.
Well, as you know, they're a $1 billion publicly held entertainment megapolis, and they made Inglewood their only West Coast outpost. And they invested $100 million in the renovation of the Forum, $123 million altogether when you include the purchase price. And there were people that said, oh, well, people won't come back to the Forum to go to concerts. Well, they were wrong. Within 11 months, it was the #1 concert venue in the greater Los Angeles area. Today, it's the #1 in the state, #2 in the country, behind MSG in New York, and #4 in the world. Now that set the table, and everybody started set up and paid attention to Inglewood. Between 2012 and 2015, into 2012 and 2015, property values rose 85% in the city of Inglewood.
Stunning.
Then January 16th, the NFL announced that the voters had voted by a vote of 30-2 to allow the St. Louis Rams to relocate to Inglewood, California.
But before that vote, some exciting events occurred as well that allowed Inglewood to be the clear favorite for that vote. You had the Daniel Freeman Hospital, you had an old Cadillac site that went through housing, revitalization.
There have been a number of significant developments from the old Inglewood. There was a site that held the Buffett and Cadillac site that's at Florence and Market Street across from the Metrolink station. It'll be called Champion Station. That'll be a 177-unit apartment development that will open up into the new Market Street, which used to be our old downtown, which we envisioned to be a mixture of 3rd Street, a Promenade, and Old Town Pasadena.
Nice.
We had the old Daniel Freeman site that'll be a 314-unit, $400,000 to $600,000 condominium development. We've revitalized Century Boulevard. Century Boulevard has been a mess for 15 years. We have it in progress to be finished within the next 18 months. A complete reconstruction from Van Ness to La Cienega, being very significant because that's our gateway to LAX.
And let's talk now about Champions Plaza, because that obviously, every other part is important, but it's the crown jewel. And I want to hear more about the crown jewel, which again, the Rams, of course, an important piece, but part of a much grander complex. Tell us about Champions Plaza.
You're absolutely correct in your assessment. While the big showpiece is a 80,000 seat arena, NFL spec arena that can be expanded to 100,000 when need be, it is also the largest at 3 million square feet arena in the world. But it's in the middle of about 298 acres. Now, to give you a sense of what 298 acres is, that's 3 times the size of Century City, twice the size of Vatican City.
Twice the size of Vatican City.
Yes,
I like that analogy even better.
Okay, and so within that footprint, you will have the stadium, a 6,000 seat performing arts theater, a 300 key hotel.
So performing arts, hotel,
movie theater, 780,000 square feet of grade A office space, 800,000 square feet of retail and entertainment, 2,500 residential units, 2 lakes, 4 parks of 26 acres, and other public spaces. So this will be a city within a city. And the amazing thing is that the roof of the stadium, which is sunken 100 feet into the ground, so it doesn't tower over everything else.
Interesting.
It's more, when you look at the renderings, you see it looks more like the Getty. So even when there are no games, it's walkable. There are outside plazas where weddings can be held, meetings can be held, so it becomes part of the streetscape of this entire development. And this is probably a $7 billion project that will be built out over about 7 years. And as people fly over it, coming into LAX, 71 million people come in and out of LAX. The roof is electrically excitable, so it'll be the big advertisement. It'll say the NFL,
revenue generating.
Inglewood, it's absolute revenue generating. And everyone flying into LAX will look down there and they'll say, what is that place? And I want to see it. And they'll only be 2.5 miles away from it when they land.
The timeline, about 7 years, as you've said. 2019, we expect the stadium to open.
Actually, we don't expect it to open. It will open September
Well stated.
2019.
Well stated.
Without doubt.
Well stated. 2021 Super Bowl.
The first Super Bowl.
We got to talk about the Olympics. We just got off the Rio Games. Now, there's no guarantee the Olympics are coming to Los Angeles or the greater Los Angeles area in 2024. But if they do, Inglewood's ready.
I would have to tell you that I opine that this project probably will make LA the favorite to get the games, because what could be grander than having the opening ceremonies in the largest, most beautiful, and most technologically sophisticated arena in the world? And we have very strong belief that that will come to pass.
And I am so excited for Inglewood, for Los Angeles, and I just can't wait. You must be just over the moon about the future of your city.
I think the greatest feeling about all this is that when the residents approach me at the gym, in the supermarket, in the streets, they say thank you for allowing us to be proud to say we live in Inglewood.
And we thank you. He's James Butts Jr. He is the mayor of Inglewood. I'm Brad Pomerance, Charter Local Edition.